With the formerly upcoming release of Avengers Endgame, yep, this video was created before Endgame was released, and the fact that I haven't uploaded in a little bit past a year, I decided that now would be the perfect time to make a new video, you know, just to help my fans out. So today's video topic is MCU Thor versus DCEU Superman. I will be determining the winner of this versus battle based off the following categories: striking strength, lifting strength, attack potency, durability, combat speed, stamina, weaknesses, and intelligence. So without further ado, let's move on to Superman. So in terms of striking strength, Superman punched Steppenwolf around like a rag doll. And this is the same Steppenwolf that was able to tank Zeus's lightning. And trust me, Zeus is no slouch like me. Zeus himself was able to create Paradise Island on his own dying breath.
With his dying breath, Zeus created this island to hide us from the outside world. Somewhere Ares.
Thankfully, this Zeus feat has already been calculated by Spinosaurus75 Dinosaur Fan on Versus Battle Wiki. I'm going to be using pretty much the same formulas that he's using, just with some slight changes, so all the credit for this calculation goes to him. This calculation is based on the formula for kinetic energy, which is 1/2 the mass times velocity squared. So Spino was able to calculate the mass of the island by finding the diameter and the height by using pixel scaling, calculating for the volume by using the equation for a cone, and then by multiplying by 3 because an island is 3 times larger than what's seen above the surface, and then multiplying by the density of rock to get his final mass. Now the only change I'm going to be making to the original calculation is that the movie directly says dying breath. Spino says multiple breaths, I'm going to say one breath. So according to the Journal of American Geriatric Society, in a study titled Normal Respiratory Rate and Peripheral Blood Oxygen Saturation in the Elderly Population, adults have 12 to 18 breaths per minute. I guess the more you know, and people actually do studies on this, which is really cool. So the average breathing rate between those two values is 15 breaths a minute. And if we simplify that even further, that means that you take one breath every 4 seconds. Remember the equation velocity equals distance divided by time? You probably do if you watch my channel. Anyways, if we divide the radius by the 4 seconds we just got, we see that the island moves at 575 meters per second. So now that we have the values for the mass and the velocity of the island, we can plug them into the kinetic energy formula. And we can get a really big number, which is Ke equals 1.43 e to the 19th, or large mountain level. Because Superman's attacks appear to be heavily damaging Steppenwolf but were not lethal, we can estimate that Superman's striking strength is around country level at best. Superman's best lifting strength feat was found in a newspaper article that stated that Superman shifted a tectonic plate. And we're just gonna give Superman the benefit of the doubt and say that he shifted a major plate. I know there are minor plates and smaller plates, but we'll just say he shifted a major plate. On average, a major tectonic plate weighs around 40 sextillion kilograms. In terms of attack potency, Batman says this.
The mother box was designed to reshape a planet. So, what if you were stronger than a planet?
In saying this, Bruce is essentially equating Superman's power to that of the mother boxes. There is a slight hyperbole when he says stronger than a planet, as you can't really calculate that, but ultimately this statement is equalizing Superman and the mother boxes. And because the mother boxes are able to terraform the Earth, this places Superman at a multi-continental level of attack potency. And in terms of durability, Superman is able to tank the explosion that came out of the mother boxes that were already terraforming the Earth. Ultimately, this places Superman at a multi-continental level of durability, as he was incapacitated by the attack and admitted it hurt. In terms of speed, Superman can fly this fast. So to properly calculate this feat, we need to use the equation velocity equals distance divided by time. So Superman takes approximately 10 seconds to travel from place to place. He starts in the Fortress of Solitude and arrives at Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. This is approximately a 13,283 kilometer distance. So if we divide the distance by time, we get 13,288.3 kilometers per second, or Mach 3,872. In terms of stamina, Superman is able to fight people of equal caliber to him for extended periods of time. Superman has 3 notable weaknesses: red sun radiation, kryptonite, and weapons of divine or magical origin. Now, in terms of intelligence, Superman is the son of a great Kryptonian scientist. He's an award-winning reporter and scored very well in school. Along with that, he's fought many highly trained fighters like General Zod. Ultimately, Superman has a very high intelligence. Moving on to Thor, this video was created before Endgame was out, so in the research for this video, it was done before we got Fat Thor. And let me just let you know, Fat Thor is kind of weaker than Infinity War's Thor. So you know what, Thor might be weaker nowadays, but we're just going off of Infinity War's Thor. In terms of striking strength, Awakened Thor scales directly to Hela, and Hela effortlessly destroyed Mjolnir. In Avengers Infinity War, Thor states that Mjolnir is forged under the power of a neutron star. For some background knowledge, a neutron star is the collapsed core of a large star which before collapse had a total of between 10 and 29 solar masses. According to NASA, this collapse leaves behind an object with the mass of a sun squished down into the size of a city. To make this even crazier, 1 cube of neutron star material would weigh about 1 trillion kilograms, about as much as a mountain. In order to calculate the feat where Hela crushes Thor's hammer, we need to use the equation force equals area times pressure, and using this graphic, we can find the total surface area of Thor's hammer by multiplying for the dimensions of the top rectangular prism. The final result is 422.5 cubic inches, or 0.00692 cubic meters. Now, plugging the surface area into the equation for force and rounding it to 0.007, we can multiply by the average derived from this range of numbers for the pressure and range inside of a neutron star, and we can find that the total striking power is a really high number of newtons, which ultimately places Thor at small planet level. In terms of lifting strength, Thor is able to pull open Nidavellir. According to Newton's third law of motion, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This explains why Thor isn't pulled off Nidavellir when the spaceship pulls him, because they're pulling each other at equal strength. This means that Thor is able to open and lift the weight of Nidavellir's rings. Thankfully for me, a fellow YouTuber named Comment Safari has already calculated the weight of Nidavellir's rings in one of his videos, which will be linked down in the description below. So all the credit for the weight of Nidavellir's rings goes to him. Ultimately, this means that Thor can lift small moons and meteors. In Avengers Infinity War, Thor did this. Keep in mind, this was a fully powered Infinity Gauntlet that had all 6 of the stones, and the full Infinity Gauntlet is much stronger than one single stone alone. Now that we have that established, the Power Stone could do this all by itself. Now, to calculate the power of the single Power Stone on its own, we can assume the planet is similar in size to Earth and use the equation for kinetic energy, which is 1/2 the mass times velocity squared, to find the total output of the Power Stone. So to find the velocity of the blast, we're going to be using the diameter of the Earth and the time that it took for it to cover the whole planet. So we find the total blast velocity is 2,123,666 meters per second. For mass, we're going to find the total mass affected by the blast. The crust weighs around 2.6 e to the 22nd kilograms, and the atmosphere weighs about 5.14 e to the 18th kilograms. So adding those two values up, we get 2.600514 e to the 22nd kilograms, which is the total mass affected by the blast. So now, if we plug these values into the formula for kinetic energy, we can see that the kinetic energy is around 5.86 e to the 34th joules, or large planet level. In Avengers Infinity War, Thor tanked the blast of a neutron star. In order to calculate this feat, the first thing we need to do is solve for the total energy output of a neutron star. For this, we need to use the stellar luminosity formula, which is L equals 4 times pi times r squared times sigma times t to the fourth, where L is for luminosity, r is for the radius of the star, sigma is for the Stefan Boltzmann constant, and t is for the temperature of the star. For further clarification, the Stefan Boltzmann constant is 5.670373 e to the power of -8. To solve for the radius, the average neutron star has a radius on the order of 10 kilometers. To solve for temperature, we're going to be using Wien's displacement law, which is T equals B over lambda max, where B is Wien's displacement constant, about 2,900 micrometers, and the denominator is the maximum wavelength of the star. According to NASA, a reasonable estimate for the wavelength max of a neutron star is around 1 nanometer. Plugging the values in, we see that the total temperature is 2,900,000 kelvins. Plugging all the values back into the stellar luminosity formula, the total luminosity is 5.04 e to the 27th watts. To find Thor's durability, we need to calculate for the intensity. So by dividing the luminosity by the surface area of the beam, we can see that the beam emits 1.007 e to the 26 watts per meter squared. Thanks to the privacy invader known as the internet, I was able to find the dimensions of Chris Hemsworth's body in order to calculate the total surface area that would be covered by the beam, which is 2.3 meters squared. Now by multiplying the value for 1 watt per meter squared by 2.3, we see that the total energy output put onto Thor is 2.32 e to the 26 joules per second, which is easily multi-continental level. This doesn't even take into consideration that Thor stayed in the beam for an extended period of time, so you would multiply the value for how many seconds Thor actually stayed in the beam, but we'll just leave it there for now. In many separate occasions, Thor has been shown to be able to travel at the same speed of his own lightning. According to a study done by Harvard, lightning has a speed of 4.4 times 10 to the 5th meters per second, or Mach 1282. In terms of durability, Thor has shown that he's able to fight people of equal or higher caliber to him in fighting, and he can also take giant beatings and still be able to survive explosions and power stones getting pushed into his skull, then get right back up again and start fighting. Thor also has no notable weaknesses, except for the fact that he can get overpowered by enemies who are much stronger than him. In terms of intelligence, Thor is a highly skilled fighter and has fought over thousands of formidable opponents. He also has advanced knowledge as he was taught in a Type 4 to 5 civilization, which is Asgard. Now for the final scoreboard, Thor takes striking strength, Superman takes lifting strength, Thor takes attack potency, they tie in durability, Superman takes combat speed, Thor takes stamina, weaknesses, and Superman takes intelligence. Ultimately, the winner of this matchup is Thor. However, it's not just because Thor won more categories. Thor's striking strength and attack potency are more than enough to damage Superman, while Superman's striking strength and attack potency are not strong enough to break through Thor's durability. In addition to this, Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, or Stormbreaker, breaks through Superman's defenses, as one of Superman's weaknesses is that he has no defense against weapons of divine or magical origin. The only reasonable way Superman could win this matchup is if he used his superior speed and lifting strength to blitz Thor and choke him into submission. However, being an experienced fighter, I don't think Thor would allow this to happen. All the while, all Thor has to do is hit Superman with either Mjolnir or Stormbreaker one time, and Superman will be struggling to get any damage onto Thor. If you didn't already, don't forget to leave a like on the video, it's really appreciated, and please be sure to subscribe if you want more YouTube videos.